This is Calvin Castine. It's about 8 hours, I should say, 9:30 a.m. on this Saturday, the 27th of March 2004. About 7 to 8 hours after the event took place, we're on the Hayford Road in the town of Champlain, just outside of Rouse's Point, and we're here to look at the railroad cars as they are to be put back on the tracks, hopefully. According to Henry Gooley, a neighbor down the road, he heard what he thought was thunder about 1:30, 2 o'clock this morning, and listening to the scanner, he soon found out what was going on. Those of you who don't know exactly how you put the railroad cars back on the tracks, and I guess that would include all of us, I'd be awfully cautious moving in front of that little baby. This Caterpillar is being unloaded. RJ Conrail, I believe, is what the RJC stands for. RJ Corman, excuse me, RJ Corman. Try to stay out of the way, but still try to show what's going on here. Temperatures in the low 40s. Brisk wind coming. Almost feels like coming straight at me, and I'm facing in what I would think would be kind of an easterly direction. When the roads twist and turn, you're never quite sure which direction you're going at a given time. I guess the first thing you do is you call a derailment services. When something like this happens. Probably aren't a lot of them located in our yellow pages, our local phone directory. Not sure how close I'll be able to get to all this. The field next to where the derailment occurred has a deep ditch, and the field is much lower, and there are trees, brush blocking the view down there, and judging from the growth in that area and the depth of the area, very possible that's quite wet in that direction. Canadian Pacific Railway. quite sure what they're attempting to do with this caterpillar. Alright, what they've done is they've attached this arm here, I don't know, like a crane arm, and apparently they'll put some counterweights over on this side to keep it from tipping, and they'll use this caterpillar here to hoist. Dennis Richards, who's nearest here, said that they will go over the top of the vehicle and lift it from the opposite side. We'll see, hopefully, if it doesn't take too long. More equipment arriving here at 9:43. This is the George Racine farm on the Hayford Road. One person, Dennis Richard, told us that he heard that it was a switch up there that caused the problem. There's a couple of cement cars and a car with some fuel in it in front of them. So it looks like there's a total of 3 cars that are off the rails. We did talk to a gentleman who took a walk down in there, and he said both sides are quite wet, so I'm not sure if they'll try to go into the fields with these caterpillars or exactly where. Morning of March 27th. There goes the second caterpillar. Actually, a third. There's one down there already. I've got other places to go, so I'm hoping they'll speed along there. I'd have those cars back on the tracks already. These guys are taking a long time. And it looks like they're planning on being here for a while. They got portable lights here. I imagine they come, when they come for all emergencies, and they might very well be here all day. I'm sure if you get to this thing and you don't know what you're going to run into. Well, we've been told, again, not from anybody official, but from what Henry Gooley said he heard on the scanner, was that there were just 2 people, a brakeman and a conductor, on the train when it happened. So I would speculate that there are no injuries. J. Corman Derailment Services. If you're ever in need of their services, you know who to call. Let's see if we can get a state on that license plate here. Looks like a KY at the beginning. I don't know if that means Kentucky or not. I don't think they could get here from Kentucky in 7 or 8 hours that it's been. I would imagine they have equipment set up in and around the Albany area, if not Albany, Syracuse, but probably Albany area. A centralized spot where they can head out in all different directions. The gentleman from the CP Rail got a New York plate. Traffic continues to go through. It's a Canadian vehicle. That might be somebody from CP, or just might be somebody from the area. This road is, those of you unfamiliar, we are probably a mile or so from Route 11. This road is the road that the North Country Golf Course is on. If you go in the other direction on Route 11, you are near the Beaumont, at Four Corners, where you would turn north to go to the golf course. You would turn south here to go to this rail crossing, and parallel to this rail crossing is Route 9B. I would guess a mile and a half or so from here, maybe 2 miles at the most. So that's where we're located. This particular crossing, I'm sure, has had some accidents over the years. The only one that stands out in my youthful mind is the one that from about 20 some odd years ago, when Melissa McCallum, Melissa Keefe at the time, I believe, was hit by a train crossing. It's just hit the end of her car. I'm not sure at that time if those lights were installed. These railroad crossing lights may not have been here 20 years ago. I would think they weren't, because there's arms that come down now, and 20 years ago there may not have been crossing lights here, let alone the arms. We're hoping that we'd actually see some lifting going on. We have a whole afternoon tied up into the evening already scheduled, and we can probably devote another hour to being here, which won't be an hour of video footage, obviously, but we can probably devote another hour of time to be here, so hopefully we'll see some lifting going on before we have to depart. But slow and steady, I would guess, is the rule of the day. You start lifting on these cement cars, you want to know exactly what you're doing before you start. And just getting a spot to lift from is going to be interesting, I think. I'm sure that's been a major topic of conversation from the gentlemen who have been up ahead, closer to the actual wreckage. I think the fuel car that was talked about is this end car, and the two cement cars ahead. So this car here, this back one, is derailed. Thankfully, it's not as bad as the cement cars. However, I'm sure they'd like it to stay that way. They don't want to get a fuel spill. I can imagine there is fuel in those tanks. Just how much there is. And I'm not sure if that's one continuous car or if that's two cars and something closely in between them. I would guess that that's one continuous car, that black car that we're looking at the end there. So the back trucks are on the rails, but the front ones are off. So I would imagine the first thing they want to make sure is that when they're trying to straighten out the cement cars, that they don't tip over the fuel car. Again, this occurred, from what we've been told, about 8 hours ago, 7 to 8 hours ago, from actually 8 hours, I guess now, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Looks like he is going down. No, he's just getting off enough so this other one can pass him. Apparently he's going to stay there because this guy's going to come back. I'm not sure if these are weights that they're getting or exactly what these items are. That'd be my speculation, that they are weights. Overcast. Thankfully it's not raining.
We're on back turn.
Not a lot of traffic. I'm surprised that the road wasn't blocked off when I approached. Not a lot of traffic, but I'm sure as more and more people hear about this, there'll be more and more people coming through. Property is posted. Hunting, fishing, trapping, or trespassing that includes derailing cars on this property is forbidden. Right now the activity is getting those weights over to the scene. This is our first mild spell. A week ago Saturday, the 20th, there was a snow squalls. Gordy Little and I were at the RV show at the Crate Brothers Center in Plattsburgh, and when we came out, we were going to look at some of the RVs outdoors, and it was downright wintry. A week ago was the first day of spring. So, although it's brisk today with the wind, temperature is in the 40s. So, a little easier to deal with. Back for one more item. Another arm. No roll bars on that vehicle. They're attaching that set of arms to that Caterpillar that we've been seeing going back and forth. They've gotten as far off as they dare get. type of work must be done in all kinds of temperatures. I'm sure they've been out in similar jobs when it's below zero with the wind blowing. And this guy's actually sweating. This is the caterpillar that's been getting out of the way of the other one. One they just attached the arm to. Must be some more equipment it needs to pick up here, I guess. I'm not sure. No. Apparently they're lifting something off the bed of that truck. They're repairing where the caterpillar drove off the sides. Looks like these guys have done this before. Train derailment, if you're tuning in late here, Saturday the 27th of March 2004, just off the Hayford Road. Fellow pedaling through here said he's pretty sure that there's a side railing up ahead here, so that must be where the switch is. That caused the problem. I'm not sure if I've mentioned, I want to thank Beverly Gooley for calling me. I mentioned Henry's name in his, but Beverly's the one who called me about 9 a.m. let me know this activity was going on, so I want to thank her and remind anybody out there if there's something unusual happening that might be video worthy, feel free to give us a holler. We can't no more than say thanks for calling, but no thanks. A lot depends on our schedule. We just happen to have some time right this morning. As we said earlier, we have places to be early afternoon, so we can't devote a lot more time to this ongoing event. So hopefully before too long we'll see some actual lifting going on. For the time being, all activity has pretty much come to a halt. Might be time for a coffee break. Outside of preventing the Amtrak going through and whatever freight is expected to go through, outside of holding up the traffic, doesn't appear to be any urgency. So, it's time for a break. I guess it's time for a break. Somebody apparently made a food run. There, a variety of snacks being enjoyed. Not telling how long these guys have been here working. Gotta refuel your own tank once in a while. Meanwhile, this truck with the big flatbed has gone down the road, turned around, and looks like they're going to try to get something off from the other side of the flatbed. Now we know a little bit more. Those aren't fuel tanks, apparently. There's some chemicals in there, caustic chemicals, nothing that's going to poison the atmosphere, but caustic chemicals could spill and get down into the ditches here and drain off. So there was some concern, I guess, overnight with it, and I guess how this happened was they were coming off the siding onto the main track here, and if there was a bad rail or whatever, so they were just coming off the siding and pulling out, so apparently not going at a particularly high rate of speed, just getting going. And from what we heard, there was quite a bit of activity here. Different fire departments and hazardous waste units being called in overnight. But nobody from the county overseeing any of this at this point, so I guess they're all pretty confident that this is not a major problem, or if there should be a spill, that there would be a major problem. There's no hazardous hazmat units here. There's the center track view. Extending that arm and reach around. does look like that front car might not be part of this black. This might not be one long car here. Looks like there might be, this one might be one, and that one might be another one. That's what it looks like from this distance. I'm not sure if they can latch on to those cement cars and hold them so they can uncouple. Imagine having the cars coupled together adds to the problems. Looks like they're attaching something to the back of the cement car. Getting near a point where I'm going to have to get out of here, so we might have seen all we're going to see of consequence, which actually it amounts to nothing of consequence outside of them loading up their equipment and unloading their equipment.
Yeah, they take him out. Sorry,
They're pulling that one out. So it apparently is a separate car, that little black one. So they're pulling this one out. Emergency personnel, I guess, were here till about 5:30 or so this morning, making sure there were no leaks. So I would guess in the overall scheme of things, the easy part has been done, moving this vehicle, and I guess they were coming off the siding, just getting going, so this train was not moving at a particularly high rate of speed. Yeah, well, it must have happened near the switch. I'm not sure if a bad rail or a bad switch. So the easy part's been done. They moved this car away. That one wasn't off the tracks. And looks like that might actually be two cars there too, so that was actually three cars, it looks like. Very closely attached, but they were three cars, separate cars. These first two have been moved. Another one that's off the track. They will lift and move that one ahead. And then they'll get into the heavy lifting with those cement cars. From what I've heard and been told, they do have sand or cement or something in them, so they are, if not full, at least they have something in them, so it's going to create a lot of weight to be lifted. In the overall scheme of things, of events this derailment firm goes to, I'd imagine this is going to be one of the easier ones. That picture will be a little grainy, but we're going to digitally zoom in. Alright guys, if we all push, we'll heave at the same time, we can lift this son of a gun back up onto the tracks. My guess is that one of those little Caterpillar cranes is holding a cement car, and the other is trying to move this chemical car. One would speculate that when they're building these rail cars that they keep in mind situations like this, that they come with a place to grab onto. I imagine back in the days when the rail yards in Rouse's Point were teeming with activity, that something of this nature wouldn't be an unusual occurrence. Not an everyday occurrence, I'm sure, but something that they would deal with on an occasional basis. They're lifting on it. There are people crawling underneath the car. They moved it. So I don't know if they have put it back on the rail. They may have uncoupled it from the cement car. Yeah, they will just lift it and put it back on the tracks, then go after the cement cars that are more tilted, but cement cars don't have chemicals, so it'll be less of a problem should something happen. This is all the time we have available for this coverage. And again, our thanks to Beverly Gooley for alerting us that this was going on. Here's a more of a side view of what we were looking at before. Those cars are definitely distinct. From the angle we were looking at them before, this car looked much shorter, and this one here also looked much shorter. So now you can tell that they are distinctly separate cars. From our angle before, you couldn't. So that's it. And there are 1, 2, 3 cement cars. So there was a total of 6 cars involved. It was something we couldn't see before. But other commitments are causing us to call a halt to this coverage of this derailment here off the Hayford Road in the town of Champlain, just outside the village of Rouse's Point.